Welcome everyone to this weekly live radio show at KCRW 100.7 FM in lovely, sunny, coastal Brookings, Oregon. This is our first show of the year, 2025.
Whoa. Oh, yeah.
Thank you for tuning into this week's exciting program of Doc and Jacques. I'm Dr. Gigi, and I'm sitting next to my co-host, San Francisco Jacques. How are you, my friend?
I am fine, Dr. Gigi, and good afternoon to our guest and to all you loyal and new listeners out there. Welcome to the Doc and Jacques Radio Variety Show. Today is January 8th, 2025, and it is English. Oh, come on. Where do you get this English toffee?
It's National English Toffee Day. That's how it is. Sorry.
Whoa,
it is also National Joy Germ Day.
Okay, I'm out of here. That's it. I'm throwing down my script. Oh, joy? What? Joy? Germ Day?
This day is to remind people across the country that by being positive and treating people with kindness, they can influence those around them and pass that positive attitude onto others, like a germ.
Gosh darn it, I'll do my darn best to pass on positive attitudes. Okay, well, that's cool, Joy German. Germany, German has many germs. Germany,
Yeah.
I want to give a special shout out to Tom Bozak, our loyal, great engineer, with Ray Gary in the booth, and we have Michael Gorst, who's in with a super duper camera
Machine of some
it looks
sort?
like a massive. It's about 10 feet tall, and he's filming this today. He's a special day. He did Joni Lindenmeyer earlier, and he's filming us today. So we will see that later on. But thank you, gentlemen, all three of you who are the sound engineers and doing such a great job here for our show. Okay. We are going to go right into Dr. Gigi with your specialty this week. What are you going to be talking about medical-wise, Doc?
Today we're going to talk about bronchitis.
What does it say?
Bronchitis. Bronchitis is an inflammation of the lining of our bronchial tubes. These tubes, the bronchial tubes, carry air to and from our lungs. People who have bronchitis, or what we usually commonly call a chest cold, often cough up thickened mucus, which can be discolored or clear. In the olden days, green and yellow meant maybe it would be bacterial, and clear would mean it is a viral infection.
Oh, my God. So it was...
However,
okay,
this has been debunked.
This has been debunked.
You don't even have to remember it now, because they're saying now that it's just a dilution effect. So
what's the stuff in your wax in your ear that's
cerumen?
Cerumen? That's such a weird name for the wax in your ear. So it's kind of like a cerumen thing, kind of, yeah.
Certainly not, but okay.
Tell us more about...
Acute bronchitis usually improves... Okay, listen up, everybody. Acute bronchitis usually improves within a week to 10 days without lasting effects, without medications, without anything but the little cough, which might linger a little longer.
That seems like a
antibiotics are usually not indicated. I see so many people saying, I have such bronchitis. Luckily, I got antibiotics from somebody. It is over-medication, and I think we talked about the antibiotics.
It's a placebo then.
Yeah.
Right.
There are some antibiotics that have some anti-inflammatory attributes, like...
yeah. You're a doctor. You know those names.
Doxycycline.
Yeah.
Okay, so chronic bronchitis is a more serious condition.
Uh-oh.
It is a constant irritation or inflammation of the lining of the bronchial tubes, and it's almost always due to smoking.
Smoking. Well, we don't smoke. We don't even have an occasional cigar anymore, do we?
No, it's yucky. And it's part of the umbrella definition of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD.
Right. COPD won't kill you, so people think they're okay, but it's actually
COPD can kill you. Oh, yeah.
It does, but it's slowly. It's insidious.
It is slow.
And it doesn't just knock you out.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. What
Chronic bronchitis is typically defined, this is just by numbers, as a productive cough that lasts for at least 3 months with 2 bouts or with at least a bout in 2 years. Oh. If you have chronic bronchitis, you have off and on cough that worsens. And often we say, stop smoking, and the chronic cough goes away.
Is that the gunk? Or what do they
That's
call
the
it?
gunk, yeah.
Oh, man.
So now you want to know
viral
when
or bacterial?
chronic COPD is neither. It's just from smoking. It's the inflammation that you get from the irritation
But
from
still,
the smoke.
people that don't smoke still get COPD, but
Yeah,
they
hardly
get
anybody.
bronchitis, right?
Yeah, bronchitis anybody can get.
And that's viral? Bronchitis is viral, or is it?
Were you here 2 minutes ago?
Darn it, I blew it again from the doctor. Oh, I'm just asking the question the normal layperson would ask.
All right. So with the bronchitis, with the cough, when would you see a doctor, or when you see a doctor? I'll tell you.
I see you every morning, every night. I see you all the time.
You don't have bronchitis either. No. So if you have bronchitis or the cough, and you have a fever that is higher than or at 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit, that
Love
is,
potion number 100. Oh, no. Okay.
or if you cough and you produce blood with it.
Oh, another
that's-
good subject.
no.
Okay, let's do that.
Or if it is associated with worsening or shortness of breath or wheezing,
Yeah.
or if you're pale and lethargic, or you have a bluish tinge to your lips or nail beds, or if you don't want to move out of your bed, then you probably want to see somebody.
How long does it last?
It can last, well, if you're a COPD smoker, it lasts till you stop smoking, or even longer than that.
There you go.
But if you have the bronchitis for more than 3 weeks, then you also should go, because at that point, antibiotics are actually indicated to prevent a pneumonia.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we got it. Now we know all about bronchitis. It's seasonal, right? It's this time of year.
It can be, unless you're getting from smoking, then you have it all the time.
But it could also come in the summertime if you went to South America. That's their winter time.
Yeah, or it can be from allergens. It can be anything that irritates your lungs.
Wow. And the breathing tube and the swallowing tube are right together there.
Right.
So it could start in the back of your mouth and then kind of work into the bronchial area. And that sounds like it. Well, now we know.
Yep.
We know more about bronchitis. And thank you, Dr. Gigi, for that incredibly. And I found it very interesting. That was fake coughs. Tom's going to come in with Lysol afterwards to spray down our... He's going to be spraying down our microphones here. Okay, folks, we have a great guest in the house today. He is a friend. We've known Barry Ross for about a year and a half, a couple of years, I want to say. We met at Rochelle and Les's house and one of their great parties. He's an interesting guy. He's been on our radar for a long time, and this would be perfect because here the first show of 2025, is going to be about wine. But let's first have a quick prologue where I want to introduce our listeners to the voyage of wine through taste and time. Today we we attempt to uncork the story of wine, a liquid that has flowed through the veins of human history like rivers of ruby and gold and ruby. A little bit of wine, much like elders, has witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. It is one of humanity's oldest companions in the realm of fermented beverages, and is a faithful friend that has been by our side for millennia. Like a time traveler, wine has seen empires crumble and new worlds discovered, all while resting patiently in its wooden chambers. Today, we're joined by Barry Ross. He is a modern-day, how do you pronounce it? Dionysus, whose wisdom flows as freely as the wine that he will be discussing. Is wine getting better with age, I ask? Like the very bottles that we cherish? Are we witnessing a global renaissance of wine growing with new regions and joining the grand ball of winemaking? And what about the future? Will we one day see vineyards on Mars, or perhaps AI robots recommending the perfect pairing for our lab-grown meats? For in every glass of wine, dear listeners, we find not just the fruit of the vine, but the very essence of human ingenuity and passion. It is a testament to our endless pursuit of pleasure and the meaning of life's grand feast. And with that, none of that, by the way, was AI written. With that, I am going to introduce to our show Barry Ross. Thanks for coming in to be with us here at the KCIWC.
Welcome,
All right.
Barry.
Thank you. Great to be here with you guys.
All right. Friend indeed.
Brought a little bottle of wine to share with you guys.
We can't wait.
Hey, that is pretty
Engineers
awesome.
are in there going, woo, we're going to wait to
You
get
tell me when and I'll pop it.
All
and
right.
we'll talk
I
wine.
don't know. You asked the first few questions.
Yeah, there you
All
go.
right, we'll go just to the background of you. Where were you born, raised? What brought you here?
Born in Burbank, California, across the street from Disney Studios.
Whoa, nice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, you were raised there too?
Yeah, nearby. Raised in Sherman,
geez,
Oaks,
okay.
California.
I
which
have
is
to-
not too far from there.
Push more.
You saw a lot of Hollywood people coming and going? And
A lot of my friends' parents were actors and actresses or songwriters or people in the industry, which is not how I ended up in the industry at all. I tried for years thinking that they would help, but never helped.
What industry is that?
Film.
Yeah.
Film as a whole. Film,
Okay.
just
Also, you recognize this thing as a film camera?
hey, by the way, hey, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, my background is widely diverse, mostly from stage production when I was like 8 years old thinking I can act, but I couldn't remember a line. and I worked with my father doing electronics from the age of 6 on.
What did Dad do? He was an electrician?
It was worse than that, actually. He had 3 jobs. He taught at Valley College in Los Angeles, physics and electronics.
Oh, one of
Oh,
those
wow.
brains. Okay.
And he also worked for Litton Data Systems doing government projects, but he never had enough engineers, so he would always bring the components and schematics home and have me build them for him.
Whoa.
Oh, cool.
Wow.
And then I would help him till 3 o'clock in the morning many nights grading students' papers from the college. And then he also was a sheriff, a Los Angeles sheriff.
Whoa.
He ran the Technical Reserve Group of Los Angeles
I'll be damned.
for about, since I was born actually in the 50s. And so
Back in the days before Dragnet.
I installed hundreds and hundreds of undercover radios.
No kidding.
For a lot of different folks.
Whoa. That is
so
a story in
cool.
itself,
From
right?
age 8 to about 20.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
Listening, old-fashioned listening devices. And they were actually radios, right?
And we also built bugs and all kinds of stuff for some of the special undercover projects.
I thought Volkswagen built bugs.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
those kind of bugs.
These
The
were
other
much smaller bugs, yeah. Fit nicely in a bra.
And isn't it weird how we have everything in this hand called the cell phone and the wafers and the
Oh, it's
chips?
amazing.
What
Yeah.
we can do today. All right.
I love it. Anyhow, so, but long story short, I worked with Mary Tyler Moore and Carol Burnett in high school.
Wow. How
And,
cool is that?
Gavin MacLeod, Loretta Swit, and all these folks that were just trying to do play production in their little theaters. And some friends of mine invited me over to spend some time. I had no idea who I was working with for 3 years until a couple of cast parties. And I was like, what are those pictures on the wall? It looks like Carol Burnett. A friend of mine's like, yeah, you're at Carol Burnett's house. I went, really? I've been working with Carol Burnett for 3 years?
Wow.
I really had no idea. So from about
Was
8...
she nice as she seemed?
Oh, they're amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a comic that, will go down in history as being one of the nicest.
And Mary Tyler Moore, amazing.
Mary Tyler
just
Moore,
amazing
wow.
people to be with.
They've recently, I would say within 5 years, they both. No, Carol Burnett's. I don't know how long they've been.
Yeah, but most of the stuff I do was, like these gay lighting directors would come in and spend time on the stage and say, kids, shine my light. I want the light on my face. I want it on my face. And it's like you learn really quickly to get along with everybody.
And very interesting.
Yeah, and I tried for a long time to get on the recording side of the business through my friend's mother, who was a songwriter who wrote Via con Dios and Pillow Talk and a number of projects that she wrote through the years, and never was successful. And so I went on in my own career, just more on the technical side, and started doing tape machine repair and servicing, and started handling hundreds and hundreds of recording studios, built lots of convention centers, worked with Ray Charles and Stevie Wonder and
Wow.
Kenny Loggins, built studios for Kenny Loggins, for one of the band members of Supertramp, the drummer.
British.
Yeah, just on and on. Chicago,
Wow.
three or four of the Chicago members.
Aren't we surrounded by talented people? Do you live here in the Brookings area?
Yeah,
right here?
nearby. Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe you need to
A
come
shout
back
out to
and we're
Linda. A shout out to Linda.
And then I
Wife.
went on
talking about all that. That
went
is
on
so
to finish
cool.
up as many years as chief sound engineer at Sony Pictures and Fox.
Whoa, how cool.
Yeah, and I'm still an Academy member. So
All right.
Yeah, so but all that stopped 25 years ago. So I just kind of brought it to an end and went on with my own life. And I ended up doing a lot of wine things, just traveling around the world, learning about wine. My father and I made wine when I was very young.
How interesting.
And where some of that came from was he always needed fruit. And other than condensed canned fruit from the local store, which is how he learned how to make wine, we were going up to Lodi or up to Stockton area for a wedding or something. And my father's like, well, you need to come with us. It's family. I'm like, well, why do I really have to go? And I was like maybe 15 or 16. He goes, well, we're going to go buy a vineyard and get some grapes. And I went, okay. So I went along thinking it was just going to be,
vineyards.
Yeah. Next thing I know, I'm standing out on 200 acres of vineyard cleaning up everybody's leftovers from harvest.
Wow.
And I started learning a lot about vineyards and harvest. And so my love was always kind of wanting to learn more about farm. And anyhow, long story short, ended up in Paso Robles in 2005. We were there for about 12 years. Worked with hundreds of winemakers, farmhands, all kinds of things. And it was a good opportunity to learn much more about wine other than just my own taste buds.
Love and Lodi and Stockton and the San Joaquin Valley, acutely big growing region. A lot of people they think of the Napas and the Sonomas, but actually there's volume.
I love all the regions, yeah.
Right.
I mean, every one of them are just so unique and so special that going from Temecula in San Diego all the way up to Walla Walla in Washington.
So when did you arrive here in this, our enchanted little corner of the world, coastal?
What do I advise?
When did you go?
When did you?
Oh,
when
I'm
did
sorry.
you get here?
What are your vices?
Yeah, what are my vices? Yeah.
Linda, we're trying to pry it out of him.
He's a sound guy and he can't hear.
What brought you to this area?
Another long story, but I'll keep it short. My wife and I were very happy in Paso Robles, and I looked at her, and we're kind of reaching that point in our life where I thought, we probably got 10 really good years ahead of us. I go, what would you like to be, in the next 10 good years of your life? And she looked at me and she went, I'd like to live like right at the beach. And I'm going, really? And she goes, yeah. She thought she had me on that. And there was no way we could have afforded it down there. And so I tricked her and kind of brought her up here a few times. And she fell in love with the beaches and the art community and so on and so forth. And next thing you know, we moved up.
That was how many years ago?
2016.
Okay,
Right, cool.
So you're 8 years into it.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Nine doctors, mathematician.
Moved in 2017. So, yeah, we're moving along. Yeah.
And Linda is an artist.
Yeah, a ceramicist, or however you say it.
Ceramicist, yeah.
A ceramic artist.
She's up at the Manley Center right now.
She rolls clay
Very nice.
rolls and twists and pinches clay and then throws it in the kiln and adds all kinds of stuff.
Does she have that little the turning table and then you go?
You have either a roller or you're a turner.
She's not a table turner. Yeah, she doesn't like tables in general. She likes doing everything by hand.
Oh,
so.
okay.
Jesus turned over.
But you're right, same concept.
So we invited you. This was all information that came after we invited you here for something else. So this is so super interesting. I mean, geez, we just opened the can there, right?
Yep.
We need to have you come back and talk to us about that. So you're really here for
Vino.
Vino in Vino Veritas. That's one of my quotes that I will say.
I love it.
I already give it away. But tell us about your club that you founded.
Well, one of the things I found was, even though I love the area up here, I had difficulty just meeting people. And I'm not a fisherman, and I don't really walk a lot, even though I love hiking occasionally. And there's a lot of beautiful places to hike, obviously. Yeah, sure. But my love has always kind of been in, meeting with people over a glass of wine or whatever, or whiskey or whatever turns them on. And I just thought, well, wouldn't it be fun to actually bring some of our love of wine to see if there's other people in the area? It's not like we have wineries nearby. I know obviously we don't. So that was pretty obvious. I thought, well, why not? I mean, people got to drink wine. Why don't we have a wine club? And so it was going to launch March of 2020. We had it ready to roll.
There was something else came along at that point.
And that's not even at 3 days before we were going to launch.
My God, COVID.
COVID hit, and it just, it pretty much put a stop to everything.
Deflated it.
And I had everything. I had the website, I had cards, I had, all the plans. I had, our our local insider,
Right. Yeah.
I had
Bruce Ellis.
I had an article with him ready to go. Everything was running, and it's just boom, it all just came to a stop. So, like everything else in our lives, and so I kind of recreated it about 2 years ago, and I thought, well, I think we can still do this. I think people are ready to get back together again, and I think the direction on the club, I kind of relaxed the concept a lot. Originally, it was going to be a little bit more involved. And I thought, I think I'm starting to learn the locality a little bit more, in that people drink wine, but, there's a lot of seniors in the area, and a lot of them are not like myself and you folks. And, we're at a point in our lives where we have to be careful too. And so I didn't want to turn it into this over elaborate, forcing everybody to have to bring the best wines, or I didn't want to sell wine. I didn't want anything to do with transactions. And so I just kind of reduced the whole concept down to $40 a year for a single, $65 for a couple, and just get together. And all it does is it pays for a venue, a third-party place where it's not somebody's house.
Yeah.
And you don't have to smell, whatever you're smelling in people's homes, which is great. I think it's awesome that people have that individuality. But when you're drinking wine, you don't want to have all these different perfumes and smells and, dogs running around, jumping on your legs and stuff.
Gotcha.
And so I thought, well, what a cool way to do it is people kind of break away from their evening lives and kind of get together with a bunch of people. And
How many members are currently out?
bring a little food and a bottle of wine and get together. We're currently at about 25 members, and a meeting currently still consists of about 12 to 15. And I would like to see us double that this year.
How often do you meet?
Is a goal. Once a month.
Okay.
Our next meeting's on January 17th, which is a week from Friday.
Okay, everybody grab your pens and papers now, because we will be taking notes.
Yeah.
We'll be pass on everything he says. We'll be getting information from Barry, how to reach him and all that fun stuff as we go through the show. But grab your pens now so we know this. There is a club, and it is called the Cal-Org, which means Oregon. Which
That's
you
right.
had a humorous little story. You can tell that at another point. But Cal-Org, Wine Appreciation Club. Barry Ross is the founder. We'll give his phone number out and all that fun stuff. Barry is the founder of this wine club. It has 25 couples or approximately now. It's very reasonable, right? $65. Oh, wait. Oh,
hold it.
Okay, get
here.
he's opening a bottle of wine. Here it is.
I was going to be patient until you're ready.
All right, let's it. Here it is, folks. 1, 2.
Yeah. Well, and the question is,
Here it goes. Here it goes.
why would he bring a bottle to a studio?
There it goes.
I've never opened a bottle that far up in the sky before.
Oh my
I
God.
know that extra long stuff in there.
Ray,
geez.
Gary, and Tom Bozak were all in the studio going like this. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, he's passing. What are we drinking here?
I thought the most important part was being able to do it without splashing
You
wine.
did
all
okay.
over the
He
place.
did. You had to raise it above the microphone. It did take a little time. We had some dead air there. That's okay though. That happens.
There you go.
All right. Now I like that
Nice.
sound
Very
effect,
nice.
right? Madame, this is for you.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Now what are we drinking here, Gary?
All right, so-
Gary.
This is, like I said, I have this love for Lodi because of the many times I've been there over the years. This is from a winery,
Wow, it really
which I always forget the name of because for some reason, why I forget it, I don't know, called Pirano, P-E-I-R-A-N-N-A-N-O, excuse me.
Pirano.
Yeah, Pirano is a winery that was started in 1870 in Lodi. And
Okay, right.
their first vines were Zinfandel, and they were planted in 1889.
Wow.
And some of those vines still exist to this day.
Oh, wow.
It wasn't chopped down during the Prohibition.
Well, a lot of our grapes also were lost to phylloxera, just like in. But no, Prohibition didn't affect it. I mean, they were still able to keep it for family at the
Okay,
time.
what is it? It's called Illusion.
Anyhow, so this particular bottle is called Illusion. It's just a blend of 4 different varietals.
I
It's
actually like blended.
of Old Vine Zin, which is from the old vines of that age, Merlot, Petit Syrah, and Cabernet Sauvignon.
Where do you buy this from?
This is actually from Pirano directly.
Okay, so you take trips, and this is some of the times you'll get these things. How much does a bottle like this cost?
You will laugh, so I won't.
Is it under $10?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right.
Nice.
Hey, that's my she's
My goal in
expensive.
life was always to purchase my bottles for under $10.
There you go.
And my wife says, "You're just way too cheap." And I go, "No, I'm willing to spend more money
No,
for
we're
something
frugal.
that's
We're
special."
frugal. I'm the same way.
But why not?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I want to find a great smoky. We met recently. Again, we've known each other for a couple of years, but we recently saw each other at the GO, the grocery outlets wine tasting. I wasn't impressed this
Very
year
good.
as it was so much last year.
There's something about grocery outlet, and I've gone to at least probably 40 different grocery outlets in the last many years. And
Whoa.
And there's something about grocery outlets that I love, and that is that each one of them have their own ability to order from their warehouse. So some grocery outlets have owners because they are all independently owned. Some amazing, isn't it?
I'm amazed at how smooth and robust. I mean, the
Smooth, that's
robust
what it
is
is.
not.
And the character.
No
I mean,
sour,
the character is just
sour.
over the top. There's cinnamon, there's licorice.
Oh,
there's,
Ray,
yeah.
Ray, you're going to love this one. Seriously, Ray's in there going, "Dang, I got to be on the backside of this mirror."
Yeah.
Wow, that is smooth.
And anyhow, but
Bust.
but grocery outlets as a whole, though, there's there's a number of them that the owners actually are wine lovers, and so they actually order in a pretty wide varietal, not a lot of quantity, but they do order a fair amount of different things, like a lot of French, a lot of Italian, a lot of Portuguese, Chilean,
Oh, cool.
so on and so forth. And I hate to say it, but the one in Crescent City is probably the one that's got the most diversity out of all the grocery outlets I've been to.
Yeah.
We shop there all the time. I'm constantly. I've just started to buy only the French wines. I've gone through all the French wines.
Good.
They do have some $20 wines there that I've been holding back on.
Sure.
But I'll try anything under, I think, $14. My limit.
Yeah, I have a theory. My theory is that if you're looking for just a Chardonnay, well, of course, there's not going to be a lot of Chardonnays, or just a Merlot. There's not going to be a lot of Merlots. So you have to be a little more flexible. Say I'm going to buy some red wines, but I don't know what to get. Okay, so you go in. Idea is to be a little ignorant. That's fine. Go in there and say, I'm going to spend $7 on 10 bottles. So you have a $70 budget. Mm-hmm. Get 10 different bottles of red wine. And this is my theory. I try to get my club members.
I'm listening.
My club members are very key on this concept. Don't look at the front label. Always look at the back label.
Very interesting, huh?
If you look at the back label, you'll learn about where the wine's been vinted, which means where it's been bottled. And many times you'll learn where the fruit is from, because it's not from the same location. Many times it's from different
Oh, really?
Yeah. And also, by the
different
way,
regions, whatever we call them. Yeah, we call things differently in our country than they do in other countries. But once you start learning about the regions and the vintage magic, you'll know more of what you like.
Yeah.
And just because you like something out of Sonoma, maybe I want something that's specific to Healdsburg.
Right.
It may not be Sonoma specific.
Yeah, sure.
It's 5-10 miles away.
We know this area
There's
very
a
well.
huge difference.
Yeah.
Same thing with Walla Walla or South Walla Walla or going into other parts of Washington. So once you learn what you like, you can better determine what wines you want to choose from. Anyhow, so you're done getting your 10 bottles, go out to the parking lot, pull them all open.
Just get out there in the car.
Just get out there and
We don't waste any time.
Take a sip. Obviously follow the rules. Put the corks back in. Put them in the back of your car so you don't get a ticket.
Barry, before we go to the half point, tell us where you're meeting.
Where do you guys meet?
Well, I'll get to that. And the last thing you do
Okay, I'm
is
listening.
out of the 10 bottles, you'll find at least 2 that you like, one that you'll like the most. And that's just my theory. Go back in the store while
then
you're
buy
there,
'em then,
and
because-
buy yourself as much as you want. And the one in Crescent City, if they're out of it, they will order specifically cases of wine for
I
you.
know the wine guy there. He's
Yeah.
a good guy. And you do pay tax, though, in California, where you
Sure.
don't pay tax up here.
But they do modify the price accordingly, because you can find the same bottle here for about $1 more. So it is less costly in Crescent City, so you pay a tax.
Wow. We are already at that halfway point. We are joined in the studio with Barry Ross. He is the founder of the California Oregon Wine Appreciation Club. One that how much is it? $45 an individual?
For a single, or did I say 40? I think it's 40 for a single, 65.
All right, count us in.
For a couple.
We'll become a member. Gigi and I will become a couple member.
And that's for a whole year, and all that money goes straight to the venue. And then you ask, so where do we meet? We meet in Brookings currently. We meet in a in a conference room, but I don't want to disclose that as to where it is.
Yeah.
And any new member, we try not to tell them until like 72 hours before.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But primarily, the way to get a hold of us is you come to the website, and you can just read the website right off the card there if you want.
Okay, I'm going to have to stop right here because we are at that mid-break.
Okay.
It is exactly, you tuned in to KCIW 100.7 FM. The studios are here in lovely Brookings, Oregon. I currently live in Crescent City with Doc, and I pick up KCIW down. We listen to it on the radio all the time
we
now.
pick it up
And
just
we
nicely.
live out quite a ways from downtown, and we're still good receptionists. We listen to KCIW quite often. Again, it's 100.7 FM on your dial, or you can stream it live by going to kciw.org. Big thing I want to point out, we have major supporters I've been telling you about for a couple months. Guess what? Program's full. We have got our dozen of major supporters. We will take more. There is a waiting list now to get on this list. For $495, you get nearly 500 commercials. Not commercials,
something.
spots. We do not. We're a non-commercial station, but you can get your word of your group, your foundation, your organization, your family, whoever it is, by becoming a major supporter. You can reach out to me. I'll tell you how to do that later on. The major supporters are Advanced Airlines. That's a big one, right?
Yeah.
RE/MAX, Coast and Country, right here, the biggest realtors in the south part of the state. The Curry County Chamber of Commerce, our good friend Michelle Bubert. Doc Bellardi, hey, big shout out to Doc Bellardi and his Crescent Land Title Company serving both states from Crescent City. We got Harbor Commissioner Dan Schmidt and Phyllis. Hey, Phyllis and Dan, good to hear from you. We got Dr. Gigi Reed. Wait, is she new? Oh, okay, MD, that's you. We got the art gallery, the Crescent Harbor Art Gallery in Crescent City. Tsunami Lanes, the only bowling lane and bowling center in the entire region. We got Nick and Lisa Rail, great people, as everybody knows, Nick and Lisa Rail, with their PPA, Partnership for the Performing Arts. Guess who just joined? Porta Pints came on. Dr. John Kirk and his wife, Cynthia Parento with the Tsunami Lanes.
Yeah.
Right? And then finally, Chetco Medical Center, Dr. Patel and Ruchita and Dr. J, they're all on board now, and you can be too. You got to take a lottery ticket. We filled it up. But if you're interested, reach out to Jacques Kepner, Kepner, and you can find me on Facebook and friend me and find out more. All right, we're back in the studio talking with Barry Ross, the founder and president of CalOrg Wine Appreciation Club. Fascinating man. We've had a great conversation so far.
And we have great wine
And
to
we're drinking.
drink.
Here, cheer. We never did do that. There we go. Oh, let's do it in front of your microphone. 1, 2, 3. Tom just threw off his headphones.
So one of the, since you got your glass in front of you, since we're having a good time and screwing around, one of the things I try to do with the club members is to take them through a process of the old, sip, swirl, smell, swirl, sip thing. Okay. And it's really kind of interesting to me. There's this gentleman who we called the wine whore in Paso Robles.
Uh-oh.
And he's long gone now, unfortunately, but he was a gentleman who was a civil engineer, and he used to build a lot of wine venting locations, and he would basically take them through the whole permitting process and build these facilities throughout Paso Robles. So he did like 50 or 60 of them in Paso Robles. Older gentleman, he'd get everybody's old wine and make vinegar. He would make olive oil. He would do everything. Anyhow, the gentleman was kind of a unique guy and kind of an old codger. And I met him one day. I was doing a lot of pouring for a few different wineries in Paso Robles. And he came in and he says, "What are you doing?" He says, "Don't use a bubbler. Don't pour your wine that way." He says, "Just put a little bit in a glass and swirl it around and go ahead and stick your nose in it." And he goes, "And before you sip it," he goes, "blow the alcohol off the top of it." And I thought,
there's alcohol in the air?
But there's a little invisible cloud of alcohol that floats above your wine glass. And so if you just give it a quick blow and another smell, you're going to smell something totally different. And the same thing for tasting. So in other words, give it a smell, nice big smell.
Big nose.
Give
right?
it a little blow and smell it again. And it's going to be different. It'll take off the edges.
More.
You may think, okay, maybe I'm smelling something, but you're not sure. You blow it and smell it again. And they do the same thing with tasting. A small taste, blow it again, taste it again. And it's another world altogether.
Dang.
And what I find is I never really had the palate 20 years ago, but the more wines that I experience and the more of the blowing concept that I did, without using all these stupid bubblers and stuff that people have you pour through and stuff.
Wow.
What he did for me is he said, you can go through 100 wines. You're not going to be that drunk. I mean, just be careful what you're actually consuming. He says, you can figure out what wines you like very quickly. And so this is one thing I try to do in the wine club is I try to remind people that you don't have to pour a whole glass of wine. Pour a little bit. And you get to try everybody's wine. That's the whole point of the club. Is some nights we'll have a Cabernet night. Everybody will bring cabs. Some will come from Chile. Some will be French. Some will be American. We don't care where they're from. Just bring your Cabernet. And so now we've got 8 or 10 or 12 or 15 bottles of Cabernet. They don't have to be a specific vintage years.
Right.
So and people get to try it and they start learning. Wow, I really like that cab from this region. And that's how you learn wines, is you learn more about the terroir, as they say, the weather, the soils, the where they're from, the appellation. In our country, we would call them appellations. But yeah.
Have you traveled much in your life?
I travel internationally a couple times a year. And I do it primarily for wine. So I'll primarily go to south of France. I'll go to Bordeaux. I'll go to Portugal. I'll go to next year is Chile. This year I'm going back to Tuscany.
We love Chile.
Ever going to Germany for any wine?
I did. Yeah.
Oh, you did.
I tried. The reason why I went to Germany was because I fell in love with Sylvaner.
Okay.
Ever had that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that and I fell in love with it in Santa Barbara. Believe it or not, there was one place that grew Sylvaner. And it was just something about that white fruit.
Yeah, my dad always loved the Silvana.
She grew up right near Strasbourg, France, although on the German side. So she was in Germany, but 15 minutes away. And so, when we were just there, we had amazing just how ancient those wineries are over there. It's just amazing. It's a whole different world.
It is. It is a different world.
Now, I want to ask you about your mission statement off your website.
Oh, did you read it?
Well, yeah, it's on every page.
I haven't.
He doesn't know.
I haven't seen it in so long.
Just get on it. Okay, before we go to that, you can check it out by going to just CalOrg, CALORG, WAC, standing for
Wine Appreciation Club.
.club.
.club. And it's not com, not net, not,
so
just use
CalOrg, WAC, .club.
Yeah.
Okay. So and on that you have your mission statement, which how many musicians do we have? We interviewed and said they can't
I just wonder because it says basically, I don't have it in front of me, but it basically says you want to build friendship. Mm-hmm. And communication between people and appreciation of wine. And every time you have the meeting, you actually say the mission statement. I thought the mission statement would be really important and you would know it. But it's on every page. It's very broad, a very sweet one saying, we want to.
Do you remember what it is, Barry? He's shaking his head.
I got my phone on quiet mode, so I can't grab it.
Darn it.
Okay, but it's a good one. It's a simple one, but it's not what I would have expected from a wine appreciation.
You're meeting with 25, up to 25, maybe 10 to 15, like you said. So how much fun is that? Just getting together with unique folks, right?
Yeah, I'm used to being in clubs with 250, 300 people, and maybe 50 will show up, and even 50 is a lot of people.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah, to show up at a meeting. And so I like meetings that are 10, 15, 20, and I'd prefer to kind of keep it 20 or less just because it gives you more time to spend with people, because you really only get to spend so much time with so many people. And
are you outside wine club friends too usually, or is it?
We've become that way,
right?
Yeah, we've become more on the outside to do things together other than just beat once a month. Yeah.
So a typical meeting is going to take how long, and what does it start off with? Just everybody chatting around?
Yeah, it starts at 5:30. The first hour is all social, and everybody's bringing some kind of food to share. It could be hot or cold, along with their bottle per couple. So if they want to bring a guest, guests are always welcome at no cost. The first meeting,
Right.
And for every guest you bring another bottle and more food to share.
Okay, cool.
And the concept is you bring enough food for maybe 8 people. So, you don't want to bring too much food, and you don't want to bring too little. Just, enough to kind of just figure if you're going to hang out with somebody and have
Finger
something.
foods, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's finger food. Exactly. It's a finger food thing. Some people will bring, miniature hot dogs. Somebody else will bring some really awesome cookies. And,
All right.
so everybody's different.
And then you have that for the first hour, and then about 6:30, 7 o'clock, you get up there and
6:30, I do a little lecture for
It's
about
always you?
45 minutes.
I see.
It's always me for now. The hope is on the club is to get it to the point where we have guest speakers,
Right.
where we have some wineries come in. Like for instance, Augustino is a
Yep.
as you well know, is down at the harbor now in the marina, and Reggie's a great guy, and he actually asked me to be his coastal ambassador, just because we get along so well. And I found his wines over the last, this is Augustino I'm speaking of,
Yep.
that his wines have improved so much in the last 10, 15 years that I just got excited recently. And so I went down and spent some time with him at the tasting room
which is over in
at the harbor down here.
okay, this one right here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
locally,
the new one.
The new
Yeah.
one. Yeah, that's right. I thought you might be the one over near Grants Pass. There.
It's funny. I since this one opened, I haven't been back to the old ones, which is probably not what he wants to hear. But
Right.
yeah, but the wines are just so much better and so much more consistent that I'm proud of him. He's proud, I'm proud, and so he's like, well, what do you taste? And so now he comes to me and says, what do you taste? And I'm tasting things. I'm like, so is this like, you can start calling off things in the soil. And he
wow.
and he looked at me and he's like, whoa, come here. And he pulled me in a corner. He says, how are you tasting that? No one's tasted that before. And I go, Reg, it's not magic. I said, when you've tasted thousands of bottles of wine, I mean, it's just, you just start picking things up. And it's not because I have any amazing palate or because I'm a snob. It's just because I've kind of trained my palate and my nose. It's really all I got left. My ears are gone, and my eyesight, I just got fixed this last year. And,
My eyesight's
and maybe my palate got better because of my ears going.
Has to make up for it.
Yeah, exactly. You lose one sense, you pick up more on the other senses. So now that my eyes are good again, maybe my tasting palate will go away.
You can watch movies. Tell us about the movie-related.
Yeah, what is your favorite
wine-related
movie-related, a wine-related movie?
movie.
Wine-related movie. It was always sideways just because it was such a stupid movie.
Tell us about it.
When was this made? Because we've just heard about it the other day.
It was made in 2000. I think it was released in 2005 or 2006.
It's not that ancient. I thought it was
No,
in the
not
80s.
not ancient. And I'm not. If my wife was here, she'd be screaming off all the people's names, the actors, the actresses. I don't.
And you would know them, right?
I don't.
Me.
Yeah, I don't remember names. Just like I had a problem with Mary Tyler Moore when I was a kid, or Carol Burnett. I remember their names, but I can't get their names when I see their faces.
Uh-oh.
And so when I go to Oscars, Linda and I have been to a couple of Academy Awards, and I'd be talking to people, and Linda would come back from being with
Whoever,
yeah,
famous people.
was Bridges.
It's called prosopagnosia.
Yeah, I mean, she hangs out with some of these people. I was like, I have no idea who she's talking to. She comes back and she's finding me talking to these actresses. I have no idea these people are actresses. I'm just talking to them, having a drink, having a good time.
Right on.
And that's really what, to me, that's what a good alcohol should be. We shouldn't be getting drunk on something. And I hate to actually take that approach because
you're
I
right.
think it is a bad habit to be consuming alcohol. But there's a lot of love in vino,
Wow.
as we say, and the love is really in the soils and the preparation and the vineyard and the people, and once you're around it. And I don't want to switch gears too quickly, but we had some olive trees in Paso Robles when we were down there. We had 300 olive trees on our property,
Whoa.
and so we did some olive oil. We created olive oil for about 4 years. It's the same thing. We got in olive oil grooves, started meeting farm managers, spending time with all the certification processes. And then again, when we travel internationally, I also go to olive groves and olive orchards, and I meet some of these people who are creating up crushes. And it's absolutely amazing. It's the same thing. It's the same love. It's the same.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So you've told a lot of reasons why you are turned on about wine. initially got you into wine. A couple technical questions. I've heard that all wines are white. Is this true, or is it that the skin colors?
It's all of the above. And do you know that there's like 2,200 varietals of wine, of grapes?
Oh my goodness!
About 2,200.
Whoa!
Which actually fits really well with the number of smaller wineries in California. Do you know that there's 2,100 smaller wineries producing less than 3,500 cases a year?
Oh, wow.
In California alone.
Whoa.
2,100. Now, people were like, I don't believe that number, but you can trust me because I actually had a website for small wineries in California.
Yeah.
And so I had to go out and meet these people.
Oh, cool.
And there's that many of them.
On River Road up in Healdsburg, that one famous sign. You come to the sign and it's got it has at least 40 or 50 wineries listed.
Just that one
strips,
sign.
all pointing all which ways.
And just think of all the small ones that produce 750 cases or 300 cases, and they can't even afford the sign.
Right?
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
But you made a website for them?
Yeah. It was just for them, and I sold that business because it takes way too much effort to maintain.
Yeah, right.
For the layperson, what's the big difference beside color between white and red?
Well, there's all these different varietals we talk about. So there are like basic, we call a white grape.
Right.
The flesh inside doesn't have to be purely white; it can be partially pink, and then the outside fruit sometimes it's very white until very late in the season, then it becomes either orange or pinkish or red. So it's really difficult to actually say that something is white or something is pink or something is red until you get to a red flesh, which is the real red fruits are red flesh. The actual flesh themselves are very dark green or red. And then the outside color of the skins get very, very dark, like black. And like Petite Syrah is a black fruit from the outside all the way through the flesh on the inside. And that's what makes wine bold. You ask about bold wines.
Yeah.
You're looking for bold varietals. So
Now, is the bold tannin related? Bold meaning strong. Is it tannin or the tartness, or what is bold?
there's a few acids that come through wine, and that's why some people claim they don't like acidity. But the reality is that all wines, actually everything in life has acidity. But what's important is when you're buying a blend, for instance, one of the cool things that happens with a blend is that each wine has its own acidic value, not the tannin acidity, not the tannic acids, but just other acids. When you do a blend, they actually combine those acidities to be more bland. So you actually not only lose some of the qualities of each varietal, but you also will lose a lot of the acidic. So, and that's why a lot of people like blends. It's because
wait a minute,
right? It's because they're smoother, exactly, and they're not smooth because of what they did, what the varietals were. They not only were creating varietals like this wine, but they also were carefully tweaking the acidity by adjusting a couple of percent in either direction.
So if you buy a blended wine, is it always a third, or whatever the percentage is, or how do they do that every
year? It changes every year. So if you buy like a 2017 XYZ wine and it has a Merlot and a Cab and something else, and that next year you go back, you buy the exact same name, everything, same vintage, same wine, same different everything, and it's a different percentage.
Oh, okay, but it tastes similar.
It will taste because you can't tell unless you have the bottle from the year before that you're pouring side by side, and that's their goal. Their goal is to make that wine taste consistent. And just like $2 Chuck, or it's now $3 Chuck, from Trader Joe's.
Acidity equals sourness to me.
But their goal is to make it taste the same every year. And so they
have a sommelier or whatever that's called who can say, yep, this is
Well, yeah, it's not even a sommelier.
No, not $2 Chuck.
I begged you not to use the word sommelier.
In the world, do you know in the world, are there more red wines being
that's what I was going to ask.
That's a good question.
I keep pointing at that thing. If you won't ask it, I'm going to ask it for you.
That's a good question. I have no clue.
Okay, there goes the important question.
I would assume it's
no. So like southern
white
Germany,
because
where
of champagne too.
Well, that's not wine; it's champagne. But it's a grape. But in
know,
southern Germany, they're mostly all white.
The best champagnes are made from the best white fruit.
The grape,
right?
The champagne.
It's really it is wine. So it starts from wine, then they make it into champagne.
Yeah.
So they have to take it through that process. So you ask the question between red or white. Not all red wines have their skins in that crushing process for that long of time. Sometimes they'll leave them in longer. Sometimes they'll take them out sooner. The blush wines that are red-based, like a blush Cabernet or a white Zinfandel, for instance, which comes out pink.
Yeah.
They start with the skins in the fruit. That the Zinfandel fruit is dark, but they take the skins off within like 6 or 8 hours. What happens is it no longer gets the red color, and so what's left is the taste of that Zinfandel, but with a small amount of tannic acid from the skin and slight coloration.
Which would be the tartness or the dryness. Is that what the tannin is?
The tannin makes you think it's slightly dry because it's on the back of your tongue.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like
as opposed to being on the front of your tongue, which are many of the other acids. So you learn right away what type of acidity based on where on your tongue you're feeling it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool. You don't need the litmus paper.
Well, that helps sometimes. Yeah. If you're making
Really?
wine. I'm just kidding.
No.
So this
I haven't used litmus paper since my father played with litmus paper when I was a kid, and I was doing a project at home. Anyhow, long story.
Right.
Imagine.
What's the best wine you've ever drank?
I
enjoyed.
That's another place I almost don't go. I've had so many amazing wines that I love. Some of my more favorites are like this bottle I brought today.
Wait till Ray Gary gets to try this one. He's a wine guy, and has such a big nose. It has a great.
Yeah.
No, so Jackie here, he likes smoky wines, which I don't necessarily like. What makes them smoky? Is it the barrel they're in, or is it?
A number of things. It's not the barrel in general. I mean, you sure can add some character with different barrels.
Yeah.
But I'm so used to working with smaller wineries who can't afford French oak barrels. And so what they do is that many of the smaller wineries under 10,000 cases generally. So it's
That's
a lot,
considered a small winery, under 10,000
Well,
cases.
normally it's under 2,000. 3,500 barrels is the breaking point for small wineries. But you can go all the way up to 10,000 barrels a year. So you pick up a lot more wineries. So probably about 3,500 wineries in California alone cannot afford the French oak barrel. So what they'll do is they'll buy what's called a neutral oak barrel. And what that is, it's a barrel that's been used more than twice. And by used is it's gone through its process, there's been wine in it, and then they get it, and then they just wash it out with some sulfur and some other chemicals, and then they make sure that there's none of that left because the pores in the oak have been filled already by that wine base. And so there's not a lot of value of oak.
Oh, wow.
And so it's called neutral oak, meaning you don't get a lot of oak value anymore. But the barrels are cheap. They're $100 a pop instead of $2,800 each. Wow. So from there, now you say, well, how do I add oak to something? Well, then they use oak chips. It's what's called the bagging method. So they use a cheesecloth style bag,
kind of.
like a tea bag,
Right.
and they call it tea bagging, which I hate to use that term, but anyhow. Don't laugh now. Come on.
I found out what it was called just recently.
Yeah. So, we won't go there on the radio show, right?
Nope.
So anyhow, but tea bagging, and they use oak chips, nice brand new oak style chips, which are designed for winemakers, and they put them in that tea baggish concept of whatever you use.
Burlap or whatever, yeah.
And they drop it in there into each of the barrels, and then they leave it in there for a specific length of time. And of course, they don't know what that is, so they're constantly testing the wine and pulling it off. And
Right.
Yeah.
So it has nothing to do with if there is a fire next door.
That does change the taste of the fruit. Yeah, I know that you were mentioning that the other day.
Yeah, about
I wouldn't know if it's something that put it this way. There's a lot of wineries who had that problem where they lost a lot of vineyards in fires, and they also learned from that because many of their competitors couldn't afford to throw the fruit away, so they sold their fruit. And customers liked it.
Wow.
And
then gone through a nearby fire and soaked up all the smoke.
At that point, people were like, hey, people liked our smoky wine. Maybe smoky wine's got some advantages. And so some of the bigger wineries have now started to experiment with that. Like, can they maybe blow a smoke of special flavor onto the wine out in the vineyard? And so a lot of people, personally, I don't get into that much at all, but I do understand why. Because a wine, the fruit itself is porous, so it will pick up the flavors of the surroundings.
Okay, we've got about 5 minutes left. So fast. I can't believe it. We have just literally, it's going so fast. We're going to cut our fun and corners earlier. But listen, how important is decanting? Decanting meaning pour it into another bottle. Do you decant?
I would only decant on the much stronger bottles like fortified wines. And you were going to ask, I think you mentioned
fortified.
the other.
That would be my
That's
question.
another question you asked the other day.
You're on show number 2. We're going to bring him back.
I know. I could come back
A
up.
couple months ago, for now, we'll have you back on.
The club, we had a club meeting a few months back that we talked about that we had fortified wines only, and we have everybody bring basically a port.
A port, yes.
But since we can't create ports outside of Portugal because of laws, but we do have what's called fortified wines, which are dessert wines and things like that. And so we can get into all that.
Glasses, are glasses important? It's part of the...
I always say on a glass, even the one you're holding in your hand, some slimy little handheld doesn't have a stem. It's just like a little bowl.
Cute. I like that.
I like a non-stem glass because stem glasses break in your hand when you're getting excited.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. I'm wiping out my thing because I'm going to get
any snob will say, well, you're warming the wine because you're holding onto the glass. I say, look, I don't put much wine in my glass anyhow, and I always pour out of the bottle 8 or 10 times, not just once. And by doing that, your wine doesn't get warm by holding on to it because you're moving.
Because you're moving.
You're
I'm cleaning this glass because you got to give up a little quick pour for Ray Gary here.
Okay. Really?
Put that up.
Does he trust your...
Yeah, no, I just wiped it up real good, and I don't have a cold. I don't have bronchitis.
So do you...
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Do you collect your own wines? No, he's coming in.
He'll come in after the show.
Is it Ray Gary or Ray?
But I say,
You said Ray Gary, but it's Ray Simon.
I'm so sorry, Ray. Oh my goodness, Ray Simon.
Ray Simon. Okay, do you have wine collections? Do you have wine bottles at home?
Do I have wine bottles? Sure.
No, I mean, do you collect them? Do you have like a wine cellar and a different
I used to. In
temperature?
Paso Robles, we had a wine room in the house. And that's another trick because people say, well, how do I store my wines? It's like, well, well, first of all, don't buy a lot at one time. But then if you have a home with an inside closet, meaning a closet that does not share an exterior wall, and you store your wines below 30 inches,
okay,
now you can just build your own racks or buy some wood racks that are all below 30 inches.
30 inches as in time, like
of height off the ground.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and by only going 30 inches off the ground, preferably a concrete floor is the best, or a room that's sunken down like a cellar. Yeah. So a cellar or an inside room with a concrete floor, only store your wines 30 inches high. And that way you don't have to worry about temperature. It's always going to be at 58 to 65 degrees.
Wow.
Well, we have that here anyway.
Yeah, we have a good
we do have perfect weather.
All right.
Yeah.
We have been talking with Barry Ross, who is the founder of the Cal-Org Wine Appreciation Club.
Yeah.
That is, you could get a hold of him by going to www or just Cal-Org, O-R-G, W-A-C, wineappreciationclub.club. And that's a great way to find him and get a hold of him. Actually, you want to put out your number or not? Want me to put your number out there? Yeah, okay, yeah. That's the best way to get a hold of you.
Let him come to the club.
I promise you, we'll get you back on by March, and we'll have you in for room number 2 for wine 202.
So cool.
Because we've had so much
we haven't
interest.
even gotten through the 10%
that's
of our
rare.
questions.
That's rare.
Tuscany on
Right.
March 15th, so somewhere after.
You're going to be in Tuscany? Okay, then you're going to have to wait till March or April or May.
Nice.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in, Barry. You were great guest.
cool.
Educated us.
Yeah, come to the
Very
website,
nice.
do the survey. That'll give us your email address.
And then we will
And then
become
you see
members.
the mission-
We're
the
members.
mission-
Count us in.
Okay.
All right.
Vision.
Doc, we have 1 minute. You got any good quotes about wine?
Shoot. Okay, yeah. In vino veritas, I already said that, right?
What does that mean?
Time corners. It means in wine is the truth. Okay. Oh no.
Come on, give me some. details.
How are husbands like wine? They take forever to mature. This is your jokes. They're on here, dude.
I told my psychiatrist that I've been hearing voices.
Ah, nice.
He told me that I don't have a psychiatrist.
That was funny. A bottle of wine contains more philosophy than all the books in the world. From Louis Pasteur.
Not bad.
Never.
Hey, why are cigarettes so good for the environment?
Don't know, but
because they kill people.
Okay.
Okay, we got to go.
We're done at, oh my gosh, the end of the show. First show in 2025. You have been listening to Doc and Jacques on KCIWLP 100.7 FM in Brookings, Oregon. We had such a great time visiting with the founder of the Cal Oregon Vine Appreciation Club, Barry Roth.
Hey, everybody, can't wait for Veronica Schlesner next week about Marriage 101 202. Marriage and ceremonies. Thank you so much for listening to
Here, everybody.
Doc and Jacques Shadow.
All right. Bye, all.